Welcome to Climate Rescue Capitalism. Let's go over this again. All right, so this series is about motivating, inviting a film producer to create a documentary introducing a way to use our capitalist system not to further enrich the rich who are stopping us from fighting climate change, but to directly create the financing, obtain the financing to finally become serious about climate change. So the working title for this documentary would be Climate Rescue Capitalism, using product profits to fight climate change. And it's an idea for, again, a full-length feature film documentary. All right, so for more information after this, you can download a free PDF of a book that I published in 2015 called Climate Rescue Capitalism. And it's available at climaterescuecapitalismblog.wordpress.com or through Amazon as a paperback, a Kindle edition, or an Audible audiobook. All right, before we go further, I just want to make the point that while this presentation will be about creating a full-length feature film documentary to introduce this concept to the world, a person, a producer, a short film producer can probably introduce this idea with a 5 to 10 minute short video that if it went viral, that may be all that's necessary to launch this way to finally get serious about climate change. It's very important for you to understand I'm here to give you this idea. I'm not selling you this idea. Make as much money as you want and you will make a lot of money, in addition to doing so much good. All right, and if you do it right, it's not just about making the money. If you care about accolades, about achievement and honor, you will very probably win an Oscar for your film and a Nobel Peace Prize for finally getting our world to become serious about climate change. It's important to understand that producing this film will not be difficult. The idea is very easy to understand and it's very easy to present, as you will see as I go through this presentation. Because of this, you should be able to complete this film in under 6 months. Go from production, post-production, premiere, Netflix, Amazon, theaters throughout the world in under 6 months. All right, this film isn't just about doing a lot of good, getting our world to finally act on climate change. It is much more ambitious than that. It is also about helping young entrepreneurs earn 6- and 7-figure incomes. And we will get into that later, but this is a very important point. This is not just for people who want to do good for the world. This is also for people who want to make a lot of money doing a lot of good for the world. All right, so let's get into this. If so many of us want to fight climate change, why isn't very much being done? The answer couldn't be more simple. Rich people bribe our politicians to do as little as they can about climate change. This isn't just in the United States, this is in every country in the world. The rich people who basically own our politicians are preventing us from fighting climate change. So how do they earn this? How do they make this money to bribe our politicians? This is a very important point to understand. They sell us products and services. They don't ask for donations, give us money and then we'll control our government, we'll determine what happens. They sell products. That's how they become very rich. That's how they have the money to bribe our politicians. So let's look at the big picture. The rich make the money they use to buy our politicians by selling products. The money we use to fight climate change comes from donations. So is it any wonder that we haven't been able to compete? All right, I want you to take a minute to read this question because this is the foundation of this whole climate rescue capitalism idea. All right, this is so important for you to understand. I'm going to read it out loud. If your supermarket offered new food products that were equal in price and quality to the products that you now buy, and you knew that 100% of the profit from these new products would be donated to the cause of fighting climate change, would you buy these new products? Okay, that's the question. So I asked 50 people to read that question. I didn't read it to them because I didn't want to influence their answer with my tone of voice, with how I asked the question. 50 people. How many of these people do you believe said yes, they would buy these products to support action on climate change? All right, 44 of 50 people that I asked said yes. Now you have to understand, 44% support for this translates, or 44 out of 50 translates to an 88% market share. So do you realize how dominating an 88% market share would be with thousands, hundreds of thousands of products? It is like a very powerful market share. All right, let's perhaps be very conservative with this. 88% sounds great, but what if only 50% or 25%, or what if only 10% of these people ended up buying these products? They said they would, but only 10% actually buy the products. All right, you have to understand, in supermarkets, you have a 5% market share of any product, you're succeeding. You're succeeding very strongly. So that's why this selling point of shoppers buying products to directly finance the fight against climate change is so powerful. And this is what climate rescue capitalism is about. It's about empowering us as consumers, as shoppers, to fight climate change at no personal cost to us through our shopping. In other words, we're going to be buying the same products, same price, same value that we now buy, but we're going to be buying them from companies that exist to finance the fight against climate change, not to further enrich the rich people who are stopping us from doing this very important work. All right, you may be wondering right now, how can a business that gives its profit away stay in business? If you're giving your profit away, you would think that, well, no, that wouldn't be a great business model. In this presentation, I'm not going to present to you some theory, some well, this works on paper. Let's see if it'll work in the real world. This hasn't been tested before. We don't have to rely on theory. Because in 1982, the late actor Paul Newman, with his friend Alex Hotchner, created a company called Newman's Own that since then, for the last 40 years, has been donating 100% of its profits to charity. Okay, a bit of background on Paul Newman and Alex Hotchner. Alex Hotchner is an author. Paul Newman was an actor. They had absolutely no food product or marketing experience. They'd intended to spend $40,000 to market their first product. They only ended up spending $20,000, which in today's dollars translates to about $50,000. They began with only 4 employees: Alex, Paul, a part-time bookkeeper, a part-time secretary, which a business today could probably do without the bookkeeper and secretary, at least in the beginning. They had absolutely no overhead because all of the manufacturing and distribution of their products was outsourced. They didn't have to own any factories. They were very shrewd. They were very smart. They conducted their own in-house taste testing rather than paying, a marketing firm thousands of dollars for this. And they didn't advertise. They didn't spend a penny on advertising. What they did is they held 2 media events, one at a bar called Hanratty's on the Upper East Side in Manhattan, and the other event was at a supermarket in Connecticut. And these events, basically, once they had conducted these events to introduce their products, they were inundated with orders from ShopRite, Stop and Shop, A&P, all of the major food supermarkets. All right, let's take a look at the products they sell today. Cookies, dressing, mints, both regular and organic varieties. So the olive oil, pizza, salsa. Initially, they just had one product, salad dressing. They kept expanding, sauce, snacks, spices. So in total, they now offer 116 products. Over these last 40 years, this one company has donated over $500 million to thousands of charities. That's how successful a company can be, donating 100% of its profit to causes that people believe in, the people that are supported by the public. All right, so now imagine hundreds, perhaps thousands of new companies selling us thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of new products to raise money to fight climate change. Imagine the billions, the tens of billions of dollars that these companies would be earning each year to fight climate change. This would be a major shift in the financing against climate change. All right, so let's go back to the politics. Climate change deniers will give their candidates, let's say 10 million. We, through our companies, raise 30 million that we give to our candidates. Our candidates win, and that is when we finally take serious action on climate change. Ask yourself, what alternative do we have? How else can we overcome the money that is stopping us from getting serious about fighting climate change? You have to understand that it is not the politicians doing the will of the people. It is the politicians that are doing the will of their financiers. So this climate rescue capitalism is a way to level that playing field, whereas the money of the rich no longer controls what we do and don't do about climate change. All right, let's get back to the businesses. How about those 6- and 7-figure salaries? All right, I want you to fast forward to when your film premieres. It is watched by millions, probably hundreds of millions, in theaters and venues like Netflix, Amazon. Everybody's talking about it. What happens next? What happens next is people begin to create these companies and sell products to raise the money to fight climate change. So for an example, we have 2 partners that launch a company called Climate Saver. And it is a climate rescue business that starts selling products. Now, during their first year, Climate Saver raises $1 million, and it doesn't matter what the product is. Climate Saver raises $1 million to the fight against climate change. Okay, that's the first year. All right, now let's just look at, as an example of how this will work, the not-for-profit industry standard for expenditures. Basically, not-for-profit organizations ask the public for donations, and then they use 80% of those donations to provide services, medical research, poverty reduction, environmental protection. Then 20% of these expenditures, these donations, are used for salaries and supplies, operating expenses, rent. So then that is the model that these climate rescue capitalism companies will be utilizing. So let's go back to Climate Saver. During their first year, based on this ratio of 80 to 20, the 2 owners will be making $100,000 in salary. All right, but these guys are smart. These guys are really smart. They bring in 2 digital marketing mavens. They know their stuff. They know how, for example, I'm talking about supermarkets, stores, concrete stores. They know how to do this online. So in their second year, through their partnership, let's say all 4 of them agree to a 25%, share of the company, equal share. In their second year, because they changed their marketing practices, Climate Saver earns $5 million to fight climate change. So what happens based on this 80-20 services to ratio, expenses ratio, now each of the 4 owners of Climate Saver are earning $250,000 a year. And this is where it gets very big and very interesting. All right, if we look at Newman Zone today, they're bringing an annual revenue of 11 million. So 20% of 11 million would be 2.2 million. And because we expect that these climate rescue corporations are going to be actually doing much better than Newman Zone. But all right, so if they're doing just as well, split 4 ways, each of the owners of Climate Saver would then be earning $550,000 every year in a salary. All right, a few years later, they've doubled their revenue. They're raising $22 million a year to fight climate change, and they each begin to earn $1.1 million in salary. That's how they get to these 6- and 7-figure salaries. That's how they make a lot of money doing a lot of good. Another option is, rather than creating a company from scratch, they can approach, let's say, a food production company and say, listen, we have plans to compete with your product. We're gonna, our plan is to create a product that is equal in price and value and quality to your product, but we're gonna use the selling point that we're gonna tell shoppers that if you buy our products, we're gonna be fighting climate change. So naturally, this is a very, it's a very unassailable kind of selling point, a marketing strategy. So again, prospective Climate Rescue Capitalism owners, company owners, can approach existing companies and suggest that they transition to this profit donating model. So that way their revenue is going to quadruple, it's going to go up many times, and then their owners and the people who propose this transition would be part of this company now, co-owners, would be making a great deal of money, again, on companies that already exist. All right, that is how climate rescue capitalism works. It's a way to retool capitalism to fight climate change. It democratizes our shopping. Instead of shopping, and our money just making rich people richer, and they use this money to stop us from fighting climate change, it allows us to select where the profits from our purchases go. And in this case, it goes to the most important challenge that's facing the world today. And that is the idea that your film is going to be introducing to the world. And that's why you're going to earn easily an Oscar and a Nobel Prize if you create this film. All right, now climate rescue businesses will be created by people wanting to do a lot of good. They're not concerned with generating, 6- or 7-figure salaries. And the 2 groups that are most probably going to do this are not-for-profit organizations and celebrities. UNICEF is a not-for-profit. It's a non-governmental organization under the United Nations. It has been selling greeting cards since 1948, and just by selling greeting cards, it has donated over $1 billion to children's education, poverty reduction, children's health. But I believe that celebrities would be the ideal climate rescue business owners for several important reasons. Firstly, celebrities can easily afford the $50,000 in startup costs for each company. So a person like Oprah can easily start 100 of these companies, and it would be like our paying, let's say, $10, $20 of anyone who has an average income. So it doesn't cost them anything to do so much good. Celebrities would also be perfect spokespeople for their climate rescue companies and for the concept of climate rescue capitalism. They already have often millions of fans, millions of supporters, followers. They already have a built-in audience. So they would be ideal representatives for this, and owners. All right, so imagine, let's say 20 to 30 celebrities stage a worldwide media event like the one that Newman's Own did in 1982 to introduce their first product and launch the new industry. So imagine, let's say, a global music concert streamed to hundreds of millions of people throughout the world, and each of these 20 to 30 celebrities is introducing their product and talking about this new industry, this new form of capitalism that's going to finally get us to become serious about climate change. Now, these celebrities would be eager to market these climate rescue products because of the massive free publicity they would receive. You know, people like them perhaps for the music they create, for the athletic performances they do. Now their fans would say, these are really good people also. These people are helping us with our greatest challenge as a world. Celebrities would also very probably be very glad to appear in your film. You know, vignettes, you can have them featured in your film. And again, you know, if you're a film producer who wants to open doors for yourself, because once you open doors to these celebrities, they have connections. Again, that they would be so willing to take part in your film is something I think that you should be very interested in. All right, two very important points. Now, I described climate rescue capitalism from the framework of brick and mortar supermarkets, you know, supermarket products. But, you know, I'm 64, you guys who are younger understand that there is so many more online opportunities for something like this. For example, let's say you went to Amazon and you're familiar with the Amazon Prime button, show me Amazon Prime button products. Imagine you go to Amazon, you're looking for a product and there's a button that says, show me climate rescue products where I buy the product and I'm helping fight climate change. The other very important point is that it's absolutely imperative that we establish consumer confidence in climate rescue capitalism to protect the integrity of the industry and to protect the integrity of climate rescue capitalism businesses. So one step should be an official seal of approval that they receive from an auditing, a watchdog organization that ensures that this company is doing exactly what it says it's doing, donating 100% of the profit, and not, for example, taking 50% of the revenue for salary. Have them adhere to that 80-20 ratio. So as part of this, there could be an official website. So if a person is interested in a product, let's say they saw at the supermarket, they can go to that website, see if that product, that company is listed, and then they know for sure that they're buying from a genuine climate rescue capitalism business. After climate rescue companies are selling products, the same selling point of donating all profits would almost certainly be used by new companies to fund medical research, poverty reduction, education, and other underfunded causes that we value. So this is not just about climate change. People will be creating companies like this to educate our world's children, to cure diseases, to eliminate poverty. So this would be, we're introducing this concept within the framework of climate change because it's our most urgent issue, but you can easily see how it can translate to every issue that our world cares about. And because of that, what your film will have introduced to the world is a sustainable capitalism that works for everyone. That's why you would win an Oscar, and probably even for a short, whether it's a short film or a documentary. I'm not really sure whether they offer Oscars for short films, but they probably do. But again, your film introducing this concept to the world would change capitalism. It would no longer be an engine to make rich people richer so that they can stop us from fighting climate change, so that they could keep countries poor and not finance the kinds of research that we need to fight disease to make a better world. That is what climate rescue capitalism is about. That is what your film would be introducing to the world. So again, it's about democratizing capitalism. You go to a supermarket, you shop online, you decide, not the company owner, you decide where the money from your purchase is going. And this is what your film would be introducing to the world. It's a new capitalism. And yes, it is capitalism in every sense of the word, but it's a capitalism that it's designed for the common good, especially with climate change, for the imperative common good, for fighting climate change, because we have no viable option but to do that. Again, your film would introduce to hundreds, thousands of young entrepreneurs a brand new selling point for products that they, again, 88% market share, supermarket products. Your film would be introducing to young entrepreneurs a way that they can make a lot of money by retooling our capitalism so it serves the needs of everyone. So if you're a film producer, documentary filmmaker, look into this more. Alex Hotchner and Paul Newman wrote a book where they describe this in more detail. Again, download my book if you want more. But I think from this presentation, you probably see that you don't really need any more information. So if you're a producer, produce this film. It's not going to cost you much money. You interview a few people, present the points, that's it. If you know a film producer, you could do them no greater favor than asking them to make this film. All right, so that's it for today's episode. I believe we will create a much better world with this. Thank you for watching.